I'm Megan Tan, a 23-year-old creator. I was born and raised in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, if anyone knows it. I currently live in Germany, and I'm a DP, director, and content creator. You might know me from my recent reel with LTX Studio, my storyboards versus my final shots. I always get this question like, Or you might know me as the girl who cries on her bathroom floor on the internet. Or at her dining table. I cry a lot. Yeah. But you might also know me from some of my recent work. For example, this one where I was talking about losing and gaining friendships in your 20s, because we all know it's kind of a bitch, you know? And this was with my bestie, Life of Riza. And you might also know me from a Wong Kar-wai dedicated video on YouTube that I did where I was kind of like beaten up in a train station and running away. Or you might know me for making fishes come out of my washing machine at home. Anyways, I'm so glad that all of you guys are here. Thank you all for coming and watching me yap about my work today. Really means a lot. Today I'll be talking about my pre-production process and my creative process, and of course using LTX Studio. So the inspiration behind the reel was this. I think a lot of us had like a Wong Kar-wai, Christopher Doyle phase where we were all kind of obsessed with that, you know, style. And I so happened to be in Tokyo, and in Tokyo there is a Goldfish museum. So I took this opportunity to go to the Goldfish museum in Ginza, and this is exactly how it looked like in Ginza. These are all photos from my phone, and there were just like walls and tubes of goldfish as soon as you stepped into the museum. So this was the location versus the shot. I was standing here, and behind that was the camera, just so you guys have perspective. And is there anyone who still draws their storyboards by hand? Anyone? Amazing. I was scared no one was gonna relate. But I do, obviously, and it's kind of hard to pitch that to anyone. So, you know, it's quick, it's fun, it's easy, but it's not always the most efficient and professional when you want to like pitch it to clients. So that's why I use LTX Studio. Oops. And with LTX, you can basically put in a prompt and it's easy and so efficient because you get the scene immediately, almost immediately, like what you want to pitch to your client. And this took me a few tries, maybe 5 to 6 tries, but I feel like to this day, it's sort of like speaking with a coworker or with a friend and trying to get to that point of satisfaction where you actually get the final result, which is here. So as I said, this took me around 5 to 6 tries, but for me, it was a pleasure going through this process. It was like sketching and erasing until you get really what you want. So that's the great thing about LTX Studio. Another thing that I really like is that you can curate your characters and use them again. So you have this consistent storyboard, and it's not just like, you know, there's one scene with another person and one scene with another face. And so for her, I used, well, me as a reference, a young Malaysian woman in her 20s. You know, she's working at an aquarium, she's messy, she's determined, and she's wearing working clothes. So that's what she looks like. I don't look like that, but and yeah, I can finally know how fishes would sound if they had a voice. And you can do that on LTX. Isn't that amazing? I love using camera movements, be it in post-production, like dynamic zoom on DaVinci, or you know, in camera. But I feel like, especially for content creators like me, you're always shooting in a public space. And it's just always kind of embarrassing holding everyone up in a public space. So LTX really helps me with experimenting and pre-planning the shots or camera movements that I want to create when I'm shooting or in post-production. And here I actually use the zoom out feature. And so I use that a lot in my videos actually. And I use this in post-production where I zoomed out the video. Yes. And this is a comparison between my hand-drawn storyboards and the storyboards I did with LTX. This is with the ones with the fishes where I was looking through the aquarium, and this is one. very loud fishes. And this is the storyboard versus the final shot, like the results that I did. Yes. And another thing I really, really like about LTX is that you know, be it you're an illustrator or an animator, you can use LTX to your benefit, because I use, for example, the style cinematic, but you can also use like analog film, like pixel art, you know, cyberpunk, fantasy art, and you can imagine the tones, the lighting, the color grading, all on LTX. And that is amazing, because, you know, when I'm drawing on my tablet or like, you know, on paper, it doesn't do the trick. But, you know, LTX does that. So thank you for listening to me. And if you guys have any questions,